Welcome to Two Guys in the Outdoors. Welcome back. Two Guys in the Outdoors, second show.
Absolutely. And thank you all for whoever the three of you are that watched our first video. Anyway, no joking. But yeah, thank everybody that's subscribed so far. And this show is all about, instead of mumbling on, this show is about
the beginner.
New hunters, the beginner.
The beginner.
And that's kind of what inspired us to do this anyway, right?
Yep. And we'll give our suggestions and what we see, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, real quick. So Jason, what did you do this week in the outdoors?
Well, I did a little squirrel hunting.
Okay.
And you and I did a little hunter education, hunter safety course together last weekend, and that was a great success. Had a lot of laughs and a lot of good times. But the outdoor stuff that I did this week was pretty much, I did a little squirrel hunting because I was trying to prepare for some of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. How about you? What'd you do?
Myself, so I've been, if you call reading a book for outdoors, but it's about shedding, or about finding sheds.
Okay.
And then I'm just not quite got my pack exactly how I wanted it, so I had some ideas, so I rearranged my pack again.
All right.
It's one of them personal things. Once you get it arranged right, then it'll click for you.
Yeah.
But that's about all I did this past week.
Sounds like you did a little bit more than what I did.
Nah. Oh, and I helped you, or we did that together.
Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
right.
It was a good time.
Good deal. So let's talk about the new hunter.
So what do we need to do if we're gonna start out hunting? What would you suggest a person starts with?
Well, number one, a new hunter has got to have qualifications as far as a hunting license, right? You got to have a hunting license. And this is Virginia's game laws, hunting regulations, and hunting and trapping regulations. And here in the state of Virginia, if you are 12 years old or older, you've got to have taken a hunter safety course.
Yep.
Or hunt directly within arm's reach of somebody that has a hunting license. And that license is called an apprentice license. So, for an example, if I hold a hunting license and you're a new hunter that I'm taking along with me, obviously you're over the age of 12, so you've got to have a apprentice license.
Yep.
And so with that apprentice license is good for 2 years, but you can go hunting, but again, you've got to be within arm's reach of me. It's not like I can send you over the next ridge and you hunt by yourself.
So what is the age that you have to have just to have a license?
12 years or older.
So if you're hunting before that, so
you don't need a license.
If you're taking your dads or moms or grandpas, anybody, if you're taking a youngster out, they don't need a license beforehand as long as they're right next to you.
Yep.
So yeah,
absolutely. So yeah. So if you're a new hunter, you've got to obtain or take that hunter safety course, which you can do in person or online here in Virginia. We recommend the in person, of course, just because of the hands-on, and you're
able to ask questions.
Yeah,
you're able to actually get in there and actually see some of the stuff and handle some of the firearms.
Yeah.
Okay. Our archery equipment.
That's right.
Usually, at least ours, we have archery equipment and firearms,
tree
and
stand equipment,
and we have all that stuff where people can actually touch it and feel it and understand. And that sparks questions.
Yep.
So,
and that's better than an online.
Yeah, we encourage you to take take it in person, and they're all throughout the country, or all throughout the state. I'm sure they're all throughout the country too.
Absolutely.
But if you have to, there is also that online version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a new hunter, that's the main thing, right? Is they've got to be legal, right? So Bob and I were thinking, you know, it's been a very long time since I've been a new hunter. But I thought back to when I was a kid, and where did I start? You know, I started by squirrel hunting. I started by rabbit hunting.
Right.
You know,
That's the same way that I started too. I think we started with maybe different types of equipment, but most people they'll start with the small game.
yeah,
You know, the small, and it's usually squirrel or rabbit. And squirrel or rabbit is plentiful throughout the country. They're everywhere. They're in the city. They're in the fields. They're everywhere. So
yeah. So we were kind of, you know, thinking about new hunters and where they should start, or our recommendation. And you said it the last show, you know, if you're a new hunter and you want to go out bear hunting, do it.
Yep.
If you're a new hunter and you want to take on, you know, the white-tailed deer or the spring gobbler, you know, do it. We're not saying not to.
No. As a matter of fact, there was a gentleman in the class on Saturday, and I asked him what he wanted to start out hunting. It's going to be his first hunting, and he's talking about going elk hunting. And
Yeah.
It's great. At least he's getting out there and trying something. Okay. So yeah.
That's absolutely. So we don't want to discourage you from not pursuing your passion, but as new hunters, our recommendation is small game hunting. And when we say small game, we're talking primarily rabbit and squirrel.
So why would you say it? I know what my opinion is.
Yeah, and the reason we recommend that is they're, just like Bob said, they're very abundant throughout the state, and you don't need a bunch of equipment.
No.
Right? And it takes less skill level to be successful.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can take somebody that's fresh out of the city, never been in the woods before or out in the field, and they'll see a squirrel.
yeah,
I mean, because you're not worried about the scent. That's one
Yeah.
of the things that I keep thinking about.
Yeah.
Deer hunting, you have to worry about the scent. You got to worry about wind. You got to worry about all that stuff. Squirrel hunting, you just walk through the park.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, don't walk through the park.
Not literally, because it's probably not legal to hunt there, right? So yeah, minimal skill level, minimal equipment, and if you take your time, and we're going to talk about techniques.
Yeah.
But if you take your time and you're very observant, you're going to see squirrel, you're going to see some rabbit, and it won't take very long, and you're going to be successful.
Right.
So let's talk about seasons first.
Sure.
Right.
So there's, for rabbit, it's November to February.
Yep.
Right. And then for squirrel, squirrel gets a bit complicated when you start looking into it, because you got the red squirrel, the gray squirrel, which their seasons are.
They run from September
to January.
to February.
Yeah, to February.
The fox squirrel.
Fox squirrel goes from September to January.
Yep.
And that's why this is your friend.
That
Okay.
is a very good friend. Very good
Okay.
friend.
But then there's one other season that's basically in June. That's the spring season for squirrel.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but go in there. You can get that online. Okay. You can get it on the app. You can get it on the DWR website, or you can always pick up one of these. Usually at some of your sports stores around.
Any place that sells a hunting license will pretty much have these as well. But you were talking about your pack and re-going through your pack, I keep one of these in my pack.
I heard you say this past
But-
Saturday.
but-
I actually put one in mine.
Because, you know, when you hunt 4 different counties and here in the county where we're at, roads
Yeah.
divide and change things. So it can be
And
pretty,
I've turned into a digital guy, and I try to do everything on my phone. But sometimes just seeing it a bit bigger and being able to flip through it made it a little bit easier
Yeah.
to find it than trying to get it on PDF on a small little thing. So
Yeah.
so that was a good piece of advice, and I took that
yeah.
ran with it.
Hey, and trust me, I know, because I'm an opportunist hunter, and what I mean by that is if something shows up, something comes by, and it's within season and within, you know, legal means, by all means, right?
Hunt for it.
Yeah, take it. So that's why I carry it with me, because I want to know when that fall turkey season's in, when I, you know, any other seasons, you know, because we're out there hunting. Take advantage of the opportunities that you get, and you got to be legal to do that.
You want to make sure you stay. Now, this isn't to scare anybody, but just try to make sure you stay within the legal realms, you know, of that book, in the seasons, and all that stuff. So check your dates, your bag limits, both rabbit and squirrel, or have a
six per day.
6 per day. So make sure you're in that, because it can complicate your life if some of our fellow CPOs or conservation police officer,
Yeah.
when
AKA game warden. Yeah.
if they stop you and want to talk to you, it makes it complicated when you're outside the law.
Yeah.
So,
Cool deal.
but anyway,
Well, let's talk about some skills for hunting, or do you want to go over equipment first?
let's go for the skills first.
Okay.
You brought it up.
So some of the small game skills, and we mentioned earlier that it doesn't take a lot of skills. Let's talk about right now in February. So right now in February, all the leaves are gone. It's what we call late season. You're going to have to be a little bit more patient this time of year than what you would be, say, in June or the early season in September, because you got a lot of foliage, a lot of leaves on, and that's going to change some of the equipment that you might want to take. But one of the skills that I like to use this time of year is steel hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And steel hunting is moving very, very slowly through the woods. I like to travel, you know, if I'm hunting public land, you know, creeks or river bottoms, old logging roads, and just steel hunting, moving very slowly, observing my area around me, looking for those squirrels' nests up in the trees, which just looks like a big pile of leaves and sticks, you know, normally in the fork of a tree, fairly high up. You know, that's a good sign for...
So that's a very good method to get out. You're seeing the woods, you're seeing what's going on. You're looking for signs, like you're saying, for trees, or for a squirrel. But you're also looking for other signs too. You could use that same method as a scouting for some other season.
Yeah,
like a pre-scouting sort of thing.
It's a great time to scout for deer.
Mm-hmm.
And spring gobbler season's right around the corner.
Yep.
You know, you can be being a good outdoorsman, being a good woodsman, being a good hunter. It's all about paying attention to your surroundings,
Right.
observing what's around you, and seeing what sign is there. Take pictures.
Yep.
Because if you see something out of the ordinary and you're not sure what it is, take a picture and Google it, ask questions. You know, you might be looking at a deer scrape or a deer rub or turkey scratching, right?
Yeah. So I use squirrel hunting a lot of times to do that very same thing.
Yeah.
To go out and look for signs for deer. Maybe this year will be turkey. But looking for the deer, looking for sheds, deer antlers.
I'll grab one.
Okay.
Stay put, Bob.
We have deer. Now's the time to say you'll have deer. The bucks are shedding their antlers. Okay, because they grow them right before. Let's say right around August, September. They start growing them. Okay, and then they drop them. Okay, and you can always tell if it's a shed. Is this one a shed?
This broke off.
Okay, but they'll be like a mushroom shape at the bottom.
I had one here,
Okay.
but I'm not sure where. But anyway.
But that's okay. Sidetrack here. Okay, but the still method
Yeah.
is a very good method if you don't like sitting around doing stuff. You're out walking. You're looking for signs. You're not waiting for them to come to you, and you can take advantage of looking for other types of animals. Okay. The one key thing is when you're still hunting, you go slow.
Yeah, very slow.
Because you're trying not to disturb the environment, so you don't scare them away. Okay, so it's not like you're just rambling through the woods. Okay, and oh, there's one. Boom. No, you're slowly walking and observing and making sure you see everything, even where you're placing your feet, right on down the line. Okay?
You know, stopping and waiting 10, 15, 20 minutes before moving on is because this time of year there's no leaves on.
You can see farther.
Yeah, it's harder to not be noticed.
Right.
Number one, we're late season. There's been a lot of hunting pressure, whether you're on private land or public land. There's been a lot of pressure. So these squirrels and these rabbits are, they're going to stay tight. You know, if they hear you coming, see you coming, you know, they'll tuck tight into the fork of a tree or get around the back side of it. And if you don't stand still for 10, 15, 20 minutes, you know, you'll walk right by them. You'll never know they were there.
So that leads to the next thing. If you know where they're at, or you have an idea where they're at, just a thought of where they're at, you can set up camp. Okay, you can sit there all day and let them come around. Eventually, some squirrels will come around. So there's two methods there, basically, in squirrel hunting, and I would say the majority of people, they will be walking around.
Yeah. That's steel hunting. Although for an advanced squirrel hunter, you know, there's dogs.
Yeah.
You know, but a brand new hunter is probably not going to have that opportunity. But yeah, for a brand spanking new hunter, it's going to be steel hunting, or like you said, set up camp, which means find a good place where there's squirrel cutting, which typically will be in and around oak trees and hickory trees.
You can notice little divots in the ground where they've either buried or dug up nuts.
Yeah.
You know, you can just find them places and just park yourself. You don't need a lot of camouflage.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't even need to wear camouflage. Definitely wouldn't wear your orange.
We actually recommend anytime you're in the outdoors hunting, you should wear some blaze orange, especially while you're out moving to and from and things like that.
Even if you're just hiking or if you're biking, but you're in an area where people are hunting, it would be good to have some sort of orange, where they can recognize it. But where I was going with this, other than your orange, You know, I could go hunting like this.
Yeah.
Throw an orange cap on my.
I've
and go
got
out. I
blue.
got blue jeans and.
Yeah, you don't need a ton
Yeah.
of equipment. So,
Well, what is this equipment that they need?
well, let's talk about some of that equipment. One thing, if you know me, and if you don't know me, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about me. I'm an aggressive hunter. So I am someone that covers a lot of ground. I am someone that likes to call. You know, I like to imitate deer. I like to imitate turkey. I like to imitate squirrels. So
this is something new for me because I didn't even realize they made squirrel calls.
So there's a ton of different manufacturers and different things, but that's imitating a squirrel bark, and that's typically when they're alerted. So if an old hawk comes swooping down through the woods, or they see a fox or a coyote or a bobcat sneaking down through the woods, a lot of times squirrels will get to flicking their tail, and they'll start that. They'll start that barking, and it'll give away their location.
They'll do that same barking when they see you.
Yeah.
They may not move. They may be up in the tree and they see you. So if you hear that, stop and just start looking around.
Yeah, because they're gonna be flicking that tail, making movement.
The funniest thing, the squirrels think they're like the biggest thing in the woods, and they want to try to get you out of their woods. And they'll sit there and bark at you all day long.
And as an avid deer hunter, squirrels sometimes will alert you of approaching deer.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on the scenario. But anyway, so you could purchase a call, right? And to use this, I use it while still hunting. Easing down those old logging roads or down along those creek bottoms, river bottoms. And I can get in an area, I see a squirrel nest over there in that tree. I see a squirrel nest or two over there. I can imitate that alerted squirrel. And sometimes, if that squirrel's hiding on the side of that tree or whatever, it'll make them known to us, the hunter. So it's a great effective way to squirrel hunt. And for a new hunter, what better way to spend the day in the woods, not only hunting but interacting with the animals that they're pursuing.
It is always cool when you can actually call an animal in.
Yeah,
it is really neat when you see that.
Absolutely.
So now you have your orange hat, you have your just everyday outfit, and you got your call.
Yeah.
What else do we need?
Well, if it is let's talk about right now, this time of year, I'm probably going to use some type of rimfire rifle.
So we're allowed to use rimfire.
Yep.
And for those of you that may not know what rimfire is, it's a 22. Small little shell like this, okay, that big. Instead of a pin in the back hitting the center part for a center fired rifle, like the bigger ones, this one hits the rim and just makes a spark.
And 22, 17s, the HMRs and the 17. Those are your popular rimfires now.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the 22 is the most common and probably always will be the most common. But here's a 22 rifle. It is scoped, and this time of year with the leaves gone, and remember we talked about everything's been pressured. Everything has been hunted from September.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's been people in the woods, there's been activity in the woods, there's been all of that commotion. So this time of year, I'm going to primarily carry my .22 rifle, and it's got optics on it. And the reason is because the squirrels are going to be, I can see them further because of no foliage, but yet they're going to be a little bit more, yeah, they're going to be a little bit more spookish, a little bit more scared, and so I'm going to need to be able to take a longer shot.
Right.
So
now keep in mind with a rifle, okay, when you're talking 22 or the 17 HMR, please understand where your shot's going to go. Okay?
Absolutely.
I want to put some safety into this. That projectile is going to go roughly about a mile. Okay.
Or more, depending on the caliber. Yep.
Yeah. So you need to understand where your shot's going to be. Okay. It'd be great if you're shooting straight into a hillside. If you're shooting up into a tree, you know, that gets kind of dangerous because you don't know unless you know exactly what's on the other side of you. Okay.
We're lucky here because we're right along the Blue Ridge and Appalachian Mountain Range. You know, our area is mountainous, but just like Bob's saying, if you're hunting in a different part of Virginia where it's flat, you know, this might not be the best option. Right. We're talking for our area
where you got dense woods and you get a lot of hills, and you're pretty much sure that your projectile, once it either goes through or misses,
we have a good backstop.
You got a backstop.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
But for those of you that maybe not have that good backstop, what would you suggest then?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a couple options here, and I recommend a shotgun of any type, right? I'll tell you what I'm using. You know, I'm using a 28 gauge or a 410. Grab my 410 there, Bob. And so, you know, I'm using a 28 gauge or a 410. And this is why. You know, when I was young, bigger and better, I thought was better. But as I get older, I don't like picking shot out of squirrels and picking all that lead shot out of rabbits. Plus your smaller gauges are typically lighter, easier to carry.
I'm liking this one here.
Yeah. So, you know, but let's face it, a 12 gauge, 20 gauge, 16 gauge, you know, any gauge of shotgun with the appropriate load is going to be sufficient for hunting our rabbit and our squirrels here in Virginia.
Now, I use 12 gauge. Mine's it looks similar to the one that Jason had, but mine's a bow that I use for small game. Okay. But yeah,
I've got a couple of the rounds here just to kind of give you an idea. I think everybody knows I'm sure y'all couldn't hear me when I had my head faced the other way, but anyway. You know, I think everybody knows what a 410 round, you know, looks like. And then the 28 gauge, they have really gained a lot of popularity over the past 10 years or so.
And both of them are good kids guns too.
Absolutely.
So if you have some youngsters that want to do it, don't give them a 12 gauge.
Yeah.
Stick with the lower ones.
But that's what I use as far as shotguns. I use the smaller gauges. They're light, not much recoil, and most importantly, you don't have a bunch of shot, you know, because let's face it, we're hunting because we like to eat the game that we pursue. So the less of that shot that I've got to worry about, the happier I am.
It saves your teeth.
That's right. Absolutely.
Now, there is another method, another piece of equipment that I used to use, and I'll probably get back to it very shortly here. But when we started, Jason said he started out, you know, squirrel hunting.
Archery.
Yes. So that's what I started with. So you can take a bow out and you can shoot squirrel. It just takes a different.
Yeah, I still do from time to time.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I got some pictures I need to send you of some of my harvests with a recurve. But anyway,
there you go. But that's also, you know, if you like shooting a bow, that's another piece of equipment that you could use. Okay, so we got our outfit, we got our call, we got our firearms. Now
it's time to go hunting.
So we're out in the woods, and well, let me ask you this: so where are you going to find squirrels?
Well, here in Virginia, just about anywhere. But I mean, any wooded areas. Let's talk about public land for a moment.
Okay.
Small game hunting is a great time to get out and explore public land.
We got hundreds of thousands of acres.
Yep. There's logging roads, there's hiking trails, there's biking trails, there's horseback trails, there's all kinds of very well marked paths.
Yep.
So you won't get lost, because I know new hunters are concerned about that. But you can walk these roads, these paths, and they're very well marked. And just about all of our national forests and public lands have an abundant amount of oak trees and hickory trees. Squirrels, they like nuts, you know. They like fruits and berries, you know, in the spring of the year. But this time of year, we're going to be hunting those hardwood areas because they have gathered those acorns. They've cut and gathered those hickory nuts. You laid mention to, you know, the small diggings in the ground. You know, they'll dig and hide their findings throughout the year. Squirrels can travel long distances to find food and things like that. So any of those hardwood areas on public land, if you just ease along or find a good place to sit down, you're going to see or hear squirrels.
So the key thing with squirrels, and it would be with all three types of squirrels, is lots of trees.
Yep.
Okay, that's why you see them in the parks, in town. You know, you see them all over the place. Now, what about rabbits?
Rabbit is a different. That's a different animal as far as hunting goes. They're not quite as abundant as the squirrel, and the reason is they have a different type of habitat. Right. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a bunch of what we call mountain rabbits. Because we hunt them every year, my son and his dogs, you know, we'll hunt the national forest, thick laurel areas. But in order to do that successfully, you're going to have dogs, right? So we're talking about a beginner. So a beginner, the wildlife management areas, which are department-owned lands, most of those areas will have some type of fields or clear-cutted area. Rabbits really like dense briar thickets, brush piles, the edges of those fields, and power lines, things like that.
So generally speaking, you won't find them in the woods. We have some mountain rabbits, but you generally won't find them in the woods. You'll find them in open areas. Okay, that's one of the key
Open,
things
thick areas.
Yeah, knee-high grass, some brush piles, like he was saying.
Yep.
Okay, so it's two different types of environment. Okay, and that's why, if you're going out in the woods squirrel hunting and you say, I'm going to rabbit hunt too, well, you may not see any rabbits. And then you want to go out to a field and I'm going to squirrel hunt while I'm out here too. Well, you're not going to see any squirrels. Two separate habitats. Okay, as a general rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they cross over.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a fine line there.
Right.
Yeah.
So we know where to hunt. We know what to look for. We look for them little holes in the ground. Look for sticks up into the
They're big leafy nest areas. Yep.
Listen for their barking. Okay. But you'll hear it. And the first time you hear it, it's like, what's that? And it's coming from the sky, right?
Yeah.
So kind of look around. So we've got, I think at that point, we're ready. We know where to hunt. We know what to use. We know what special outfit we need.
Which is basically nothing. Stay warm. Stay warm.
Whatever you feel comfortable in.
Wear some orange,
okay.
but stay warm.
So an extra added thing, I mean, the actual clothing and some orange and a firearm. Basically, that's all you really need.
Yeah. For rabbit hunting, I'll share a method that I use or that I used to use when I was a kid. Always a shotgun for rabbit. And the reason is rabbits will hold up. They'll hold up and set still and won't move until you get almost on top of them. And then, boy, they take off. So it's going to be a moving shot.
It's very similar to flushing birds.
Yeah, very similar.
Shooting a bird, flushing them out, and shooting a rabbit, flushing it out, same thing.
Yeah, and rabbit hunting could be a lot of fun if you got buddies that you want to hunt with. And what I used to do as a kid, we would find brush piles or really thick greenbrier, honeysuckle type stuff. And we would take sticks, we would get our buddies or friends, okay, one on this side of the brush pile, one on this side, made sure everybody had a safe shooting zone. And then one of us would get in there and start poking around with a stick. And you would be surprised the rabbits that would come out and you'd get the opportunity. So that's another method of being, I told y'all I'm an aggressive hunter. I like to make things happen. So, we were kids. That's what
we just explained everything that you would need to go out squirrel hunting.
Bare basic, bare minimum.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. One of my famous sayings, if you want to say it's famous, is just go hunting.
Yeah.
Just go. You learn by doing. You learn by going. And so, and what I mean by just go hunting, because I know you've been there recently, and I've been there. If you worry about all the stuff, if you worry about the wind when you're talking about deer hunting, if you worry about all that stuff, you're going to talk yourself out of going and having a good time.
Yeah. It's not the perfect situation, so I'm not going to go. I'm looking at the app and it says that today is not a good hunting day.
Yeah.
But it's the only day I got. What should I do? Well, you go.
Yeah.
Just get out in the woods.
Just go hunting.
So.
And
I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll close that up here, and I really thank you for watching our previous one. Hopefully this one will be a little bit better for you. because last time was just about us.
Yeah.
This one gives you a little bit of information. So please hit the subscribe button. You know, tell your friends about it, and hit the like button too if you liked it. And we'd love to hear your comments.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Just get outside.
Go hunting and be safe.